It's nice to see you again, eh? I hope you enjoyed your trip. Did you know that a lot has been happening while you have been gone? Honestly, it wasn't so hard to keep the company running while you were absent. If you happen to have any questions, feel free to ask them. I will answer them without hesitation. What's happening outside? The head and the eye still watch us through their arbiters and gazers. The wings are still flapping towards the sun, not realizing their feathers are of wax. Our other company branches still provide a steady supply of energy without any major incident so far. In the back streets, the likes of sweepers and fixers live out their lives tangled in vomit and waste, unraveling their sickening tales. Those who live in the outskirts are still crying out to break into the city. Meanwhile, those within the city are throwing their lives away just to be part of the wings. Yes, the world hasn't changed at all since you left, peaceful as ever. Once in a while, when I take a moment to look outside, the world still remains so stagnant and unchanged. It's as if the flow of time here were futile, for naught. Even impatience wanes away. How many cycles have we gone through so far? How many times have you repeated this script before? It's natural for you to be curious, but numbers are of little importance to us. Let's just say that number is far too vast to ruminate on. Moving forward, what's going to happen? There are still numerous tasks you must do. Things that no one else can. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left. The sands of the hourglass will begin flowing to the bottom soon, a countdown. As you have already experienced, there have been many countdowns in our world. Spurred for both destruction and new beginnings. It seems I tend to smile more frequently during these moments. Oh yes, let's just say this smile is because I'm so happy to see you again. There are still things you haven't realized yet. Let me give you a little hint. For what reason did you go through all the trouble of making this monstrous and horrifying prison? In time, I hope you'll be able to find the answer to that on your own. I cannot help you with it, otherwise this place would lose its meaning as a prison. Soon you will meet with the Sephiroth of the lower layer, those who play a crucial role in the headquarters of Lobotomy Corporation. I don't think you need any sort of explanation regarding them. However, let's make one thing clear. They truly have missed you while you were gone. It's quiet, isn't it? Take a good, long look at this silence. Manager, have you ever gotten up early to walk the streets at the crack of dawn? I think this moment right now is equivalent to that dawn in the outside world. The abnormalities are currently in torpor due to the heightening of Quilthoth deterrence during off hours. Meanwhile, the employees are steeling themselves for when fate decides whatever will happen to them. When the level of deterrence is weakened, the powers of the suppressed at origins will soon wake them. It's always so hard to believe that a place as quiet as this will just as soon be engulfed by pandemonium. Oh, how nice it would be to keep this tranquility. How many times do we have to fail? How much more must we be accustomed to the darkness to finally encounter the light? The Quilthoth deterrence is what keeps the abnormalities unable to act while the facility's closed. It's turned down during the workday so we can get energy from them. Good morning, Chesed, sir. Ah, yes. Good morning, buddy. Good luck with your duties, as always. Mr. Chesed, sir, I've been thinking, and I feel that I truly am lucky to be assigned to the welfare team. Just getting into Lobotomy Corporation was really competitive, but being assigned to this team, it's like a miracle. You know brown-nosing won't gain you anything. Just think of it as flattery, sir. There really is no one who cares more about their employees like you do, Chesed, sir. I mean, just look at the department on the other side of our lair. Nah, that's not necessarily true. I just want to say I appreciate you and the many things you do, sir. Sorry for keeping you so long. I'll be going now, Chesed, sir. Aye aye, go get yourself ready for the day. For many days, I consoled myself by saying that I wasn't doing that bad for a Sephiroth. I never put my employees on the verge of death like a certain red-clad whiz someone did, and I managed to be flexible with various situations most of the time. Getting mad at someone for breaking a rule or two, or agreeing with someone who claimed to make this place better. When I take a step back and look at it all, I just can't help but think, what's the point of it all? Of course, I hope to send them off in peace as they were just meant to die anyways. Meanwhile, I was hiding the biggest lie of all inside. Yet I've been playing the role of a good leader, knowing that it was all a falsehood. Lady Angela knew this too. She knew that I would never be the great man who exposed every little secret of this place to the employees and try to overthrow the system and plot. Well, I mean, I just wanted to avoid pushing her buttons. Working as the head of the welfare department, I actually never cared about the welfare of our employees at all. I was so afraid. Angela stopped any seedling of doubt or inquiry about the nature of this place by killing off employees indirectly. Then I eventually decided to cover my eyes and ears, and help Lady Angela with her affairs without questioning them. Hey, Chesed, we have an emergency. You heard the status report, right? The abnormalities have gone out of control. I don't know what happened, but we need to retake control of the situation right now. I thought you didn't want to speak with me. What's gotten into you, Gebura? You're able to control a deterrence, aren't you? We need to increase the level of Quilthoth deterrence right now. Or deterrence, I can't say words. And she'll go call the rabbits if the rest of the abnormalities aren't suppressed. I want to wrap things up on my side of the facility. But Gebura, no one's allowed to touch the controller of Quilthoth deterrence without Lady Angela's explicit approval. You know that. So you don't want to do it. You little coward. Do you really think you can just get over every situation by going through the motions? I hope you continue to rot until the day you die, succumbing to your fears like the servile dastard you are. Choke on those sugar-coated words your employees feed you. It's been quite a while since I've been grabbed by the collar. Chesed. You know I was coming, didn't you? Seems you know me all too well. Perhaps you are the one who understands me most amongst our Sephiroth. Weaken the Quilthoth deterrence, Chesed. What do you have up your sleeve this time, ma'am? Do you want to ask for reasons again, after all this time? Gebura and the other employees are fighting right now. You know that, right? Indeed, Gebura is... Sorry, this is quite humorous to me. I didn't know you would talk about Gebura. You should know. You've seen her for yourself. Gebura has failed to control her enmity, and has now lost her way. What I'm saying is, she is not fighting for some grand ideology. She should know best how she stands. Everyone has their own battle in this place. But I can't seem to shake off this feeling that I'm the only one who just observes the situation from afar, not taking any action. I thought you enjoyed those kinds of things, Chesed. Taking in a cup of coffee, enjoying the peaceful day, listening to your classical music. I would think that I am providing the right environment for you, no? It seems our conversation has run on longer than I expected. Let me tell you one last time. Lower the deterrence. Alright everyone, let's make the best of today as always. Open the door. Who are you, ma'am? Your taste in music is rather classy. Quite different from mine, however. What the... I apologize. I didn't think you would open the door for me, so I simply walked in. How did you get inside? Do I know you? I've arrived from the head. I was so desperately looking for you all. The reason why I came all the way here is... Well, let's just say I've showed up to play my favorite music. Excuse me, you there. Can you tell me the name of this fine gentleman? Daniel. His name is Daniel. Daniel, is it? That name carries much more with it than you merit. I would assume that you are the one in charge of this place. Open that section where those monsters of yours are locked up. As you saw just a moment ago, it's nothing for me to open a locked door with my own power. I'm just being polite, after all, asking you to open the doors. It's only fair as you're the one in charge here. I urge you not to resist, just listen to me. If you do so, a few of these people might be able to escape with their lives, no? It's easy to point the finger of blame at the betrayer. However, one never really knows how it feels to be the target of such a thing until they've been in the shoes of that situation. Back then, a chill had come over my entire body. It was a fear I'd never felt before. I had faced numerous experiment-intended abnormalities, yet I never had experienced my body being paralyzed and my blood curdling in such a way before. So, this is the head. Boss, enough with your orders. Don't try and make me justify my cowardly acts. I'm ashamed for consoling myself, saying that there was nothing to be done after passing straight through the tunnel of defeat. I'm so struck with shame and grief, I can't bear it anymore. This body of mine is like a punishment for me, reminding me of my past. I can't even bleed from this body. I don't want to undertake dirty work for Angela's show, or be a puppet who gets praise and applause from everyone. Nor do I want to be your aide who can't do a single thing. All of this has been a series of shame for me. Manager, this shall be my rebellion against you and Angela. I'm the only one who survived, saying there was nothing I could do, that I was too scared to bear by myself, that I wanted to save at least a few of my co-workers. All those are meaningless excuses. I think I'm gonna die soon too. The head is on its way to get you. I'll see you again in hell, Acer. How is fear able to dominate the human mind? How many people would stick to their beliefs and morals if they were to come face to face with the true nightmare? The answers to those questions are why no one can blame Daniel's behavior. Truth be told, everything fell down the edge of the cliff the exact moment the head found us. And I hung up the intercom after that last conversation with him. It came to an end with a hopeless silence. Daniel, he was intelligent and held a high social position, and showed more finesse than everyone else in our research lab. He had an excellent reputation from the people who surrounded him. He had a sly yet charming smile and humor. It would have been easy for him to get into any one of the wings with his skills and personality, but he chose us, not the wings. Though amazing he once was, there is no doubt he died in despair and regret, cursing his choice. Seeing the dead bodies of his co-workers strewn about in front of him, not even having the single comfort of knowing that it wasn't his fault, unable to find peace for his final rest. Meanwhile, you all might not have noticed. I mean, you all might have noticed, but we've never had this kind of situation before. Those monsters were supposed to be slumbering away, but now they woke up all of a sudden. There's no need to focus on what caused this. All that matters is that we solve the problem at hand. Let me add a few words before we jump into the battle today. I don't need cowards in my department. You should not let complacency waver your mind when you confront the monsters. You must arm yourselves with anger and pure anger alone to crush those monstrous dastards. If you object to any of this, I suggest you transfer departments immediately. I won't squeeze out a tear or mourn over you perishing without even your name being left behind. If you want your body and mind to stay comfortable, I'll kindly drag your butt over to the pathetic welfare team so you can chicken scratch your dishonorable name on the waiting list for department transfers. There's good reason why my department has far fewer employees than any other. However, I want you to keep in mind that this also means only the best have gathered here. Meeting over. We'll talk more when the situation has been sorted out. Miss Gebura, I think your mainframe has sustained too much damage. Maybe we should suspend the suppression for now. Tiferath is investigating the cause of the situation right now, so we should be able to figure it out pretty soon. I don't need a break. I can still fight. But in your condition... Shut up! I said I can still fight. 31 ego damaged, 17 employees dead and counting. You might recognize her from the cutscene a few seconds ago. She's one of the Sephiroth of the lower layer. Now. And your body needs 5 or 6 parts replaced and repaired. It's not thrilling to look after a machine who behaves like a child in a temper tantrum. However, the Sephiroth of the middle layer apparently could not keep you on a leash, so here I am. You. Oh, poor little thing. Look at yourself. There was a time where I had a pinch of admiration for that fire in your eyes. But now even that is smothered with ire and madness. It is such a shame that both of us are locked up in this dungeon. However, I did not bend over or break my back at the very least. I imagine we will no longer have to face off with our lives at stake and be at each other's throats like the past, but... I will say this for you, pitiful thing. Stare directly into the object of your anger. The edge of a blade that has lost its way will be unfathomably blunt, for there will be nothing but the void to slash, no matter how much the blade is sharpened. I hope you don't think I get some kind of satisfaction out of this, seeing my once earnest rival now looking as pathetic as a dog. I have decency, you know. Cutting, slashing, throttling, trampling, destroying. Sometimes I remember the faces of those who showed me true kindness. If I could just get the smallest taste of revenge upon those monsters who stole their smiles, their happiness, their future, my sword and spear would never stop their flurry. I see people dying in my blurred vision. They're always torn apart by monsters. Those dying faces differ from time to time. Sometimes they're strangers, sometimes one I dearly miss, and sometimes I see Christopher or Miss Isabel. Whoever they were, I'm filled with agony for them. Looking at my paralyzed leg and my severed arm, I scream and curse my weak body in a fit of rage. Then I black out. I'm so sick of this darkness. It is impossible to fight with such low manpower. I cannot approve your proposal. Please reconsider. Why should I approve an operation that will so clearly end in failure? If manpower is the issue, I can make up for it. If they're too weak, I'll make up for that too. There's nothing in the rules against a Sephiroth utilizing ego too. If you so wish, then I won't stop you. A familiar grip, the right weight in practiced form. This feeling is so distinct that it pulls me right back onto the right path, away from straying to wander, just like a road sign. I completely lose track of time when I wield my weapons. It was kind of funny to see Tifereth and Chesed with bewildered faces when they witnessed me return from battle covered in blood. No matter how hard I stab and break those monsters, they will recover sooner or later. Some of them wail and others scream. In battle, I also fracture and break some of my components, but these are soon replaced and repaired. What a perfect little hell, just for me. Missing your arm? Here it is. Think of it as a respectful gesture to a fellow warrior to leave you with one of your arms intact. I doubt she expected this, the tragedy she would bring here, caused by that oh-so-great ideology of hers. I don't know if it'll ease your pain, but this happens quite often, more often than you may think. This is no less common than, say, a little seedling getting trampled to death. I must admit that you're quite the tough sprout, however. You even managed to thwart my plans a little. I never expected you'd kill 2 claws, stop all the monsters, and finally come to face me and give me a fair fight. By the way, about those monsters, I cannot deny that they're astonishing things. Even after plowing through a hallway of your friends, they never softened nor tired. It seems you aren't much different from them, now that I ponder on it. Alright then. If you can still manage to hold a weapon and stand up with your own 2 left feet, then come. Come at me. I will not be broken. If I can't get rid of these dire monsters, I'll destroy the whole company myself instead. Then finally my aimless wrath can crumble with it and rest beneath the earth forever. Among the many fixers of the back streets, she was one of the few who could go toe-to-toe with the head and the claw. She was called the Red Mist among the back streets denizens. That was a name she earned protecting us from all kinds of threats and maneuvers of the outside. Michelle's betrayal led the eye to the den we hid in, then the head mercilessly threw their claws at us. Instead of dealing with the Red Mist directly, the ever-cutting head unleashed the unstable abnormalities to slaughter us. The abnormalities were out of control, tearing apart our comrades who screamed in agony. All the while, the claws sniffed out their prey and snatched it. The whole situation was beyond what she could handle by herself, but she gave it everything she had to protect us. She lost an eye, one of her arms was severed, and she had numerous deep scars all over her body she could no longer heal from. Yet she didn't give up, and eventually, her efforts saved B and I from death. The cadaver demonstrated the horrendous, unbearable situation she went through. After a long time had passed, her eyes opened again. However, her anger that had lost its focus dragged her down, deep to the bottom. We had to reboot her many, many times. And we have our last 3 teams. I kind of lied to it a couple times, and I said there were only 2. Record, Extraction, and Architecture. It's very important that you alternate between Record and Extraction until day 41 at least, because otherwise you might have to loop through the entire game starting at day 1 to finish them. We're starting with Bina here in Extraction because we just met her. Welcome back to Lobotomy Corporation. We've got Bina's department, Extraction, available. Its bonus for its captains and employees is literally the welfare bonus and the disciplinary bonus, so that's increased damage and increased defenses at the same time. It is really good. Also, they have, in my opinion, the most beneficial clerks. While they're still alive, all the purchases of eco equipment are discounted. It's not really that helpful right now because the only thing we have purchasing eco equipment for is a Teth, but hopefully we'll get a lefts in these last 7 slots. Or 12, because there's 3 departments. And we'll be able to get more of that more easily, their equipment. Who knows, though. We've hired another new Brando, Joel, and with that, that is just another set of employees added pretty much. We're almost at the end. We just have this last section of the game left to go. However, we will have to rewind after the next memory repository. We can't do any of the core suppressions of the middle layer yet. We're about to get into them, though. I think tomorrow is the first one. Let's start the day. 1.76 megahertz is a Teth abnormality that does weight damage. It has a Quiltoth counter of 4, which depletes upon a bad result. or a normal result, just by chance. This cold health counter also increases by 1 on a good result, and it increases by 2 on a perfect good result. Employees with level 1 fortitude also get a bonus to their success rate working with this abnormality, which is completely useless now because people start at level 3 unless I specifically set them to start at level 1, which I have no reason to do. When its cold health counter is depleted, static fills the hallways of the entire facility until its cold health counter is set back to 4. This static does a small amount of white damage every 3 seconds to all employees in the hallways that it is in. It doesn't really gonna do anything to our agents anymore. It could still kill clerks and release clerks' rights abnormalities, so we still want to make sure we don't let it melt down. Overall, it's never really a major threat to your facility, and it's not really that great either. It is the best Teth abnormality for justice training because of its level 1 fortitude bonus and its high justice rates, but it's not really great at anything else. It's outright bad at training insight despite its weight damage, except at like level 1. And it doesn't even have a weapon, it only has a suit and a gift. And you only get 1 copy of its suit, and its suit is weak to red. Overall, it's something you really only want to see in the very early game. Like, I think it's really only good if you pick it up in Control. And we have it in Extraction, so, yeah. Pretty short gameplay segment today, just because new abnormality is a test, so there's not really much interesting going on here. And the works we've been ordering push the same type of thing we've been ordering for like the past 4 days, and I think you've all gotten used to that by this point. Luckily, we're about to hit another round of core suppression, so more interesting gameplay footage should be on the way than this. But let's just send the newbies off to work with WAS and get all the information and gear from 1.76 megahertz, which is pretty fast because it is a TEF. Back when it was only like 4 works until the next meltdown level, taking all the gear from a TEF in a single day would bring us pretty far into it, but if I really wanted to, I could probably get it all done at meltdown level 1 now. Just because it's like 16 or so works until the next meltdown level now. Which makes sense. I mean, there's a lot more abnormalities now, so of course today's should be lasting a lot longer. Once the middle layers shut off for meltdowns too, we should start seeing a lot less of those, and it'll happen soon. I'm not going to be doing the next suppression on the next day just because of mission reasons. The mission isn't able to be accomplished on a suppression day, and I want to continue doing the mission sufficiently. But after that, we'll do the next 3, I think. So in 2 episodes, we'll start with the middle layer suppressions. It's already almost time for this day to end. I cut to the last section of gameplay. The day was able to end before the noon. I could have pushed further, but I didn't really see any reason to, since all the people who were working likely captured the stat they were training anyway. Well, besides people in Extraction, because Extraction is working on a TEF. Unfortunate that we don't have any WAS or HEs down there, or, I mean, not HEs, LFs, but again, I'm kind of just randomly rolling the abnormality. So it's about what I figured would happen. Again, in my original playthrough, I was doing the same thing, but I ended up breaking it to get LFs. I'm not doing it this time, so it's a bit of a bruh moment that we don't have any. Hopefully we'll be fine. We're getting to what I'm nervous about the most. It's rapidly approaching. But if we can beat that, which we do have enough gear, I've seen it beaten with what we with gear that we have now. We do have Twilight, which is the best DPS up in the game. If we can beat that, we should be home free. If we can't, I don't know. I guess I'll have to do a rewind or something. The person who beat it with Twilight, the person who I was citing as having beaten it with basically what we have now. is much better at the game than I am, so it's a bit of a risky shot. But our employees do have good stats. We're really just lacking in the gear department. It's kind of an issue that popped up in welfare and disciplinary. Although we're not really super bad, we could have gotten HEs and tests instead of WAs. We do have mostly WAs down there, so that's good. With that, the day ends. We have minor growths for everyone, essentially. Not really anything of note to see. FO444 is a TEF, OO620 is an LF, and TO541 is an HE. So I really just want to get OO620 here, because we need LFs. We don't need it. It would make the rest of this a lot easier, though, having more LF gear to pass around. And I rolled a 3, so I will not get it. And now it is time for monk lore. In the Redacted century, a monk named Redacted from the province of Redacted walked the path of Buddhism, seeking liberation and true enlightenment. He was on the road to his home country to spread his philosophy when he heard that an old monk was being cremated in a nearby town. He felt that he should go witness it. However, a man stopped him. "Excuse me, sir. There's a rumor that an evil spirit lurks in the town you are heading towards." The monk replied, "Evil spirits are naturally born from one's heart. How could I miss the cremation of a great monk simply because a rumor had been spread?" He then continued on his way to the town of Redacted. When the monk arrived, people from all around the town were gathered in ceremony. They were gazing at the corpse of the old monk, chanting the name of Guanyin. Guanyin. The chant was born more of desperation than for something they yearned for, rather than commemoration. The funeral pyre started crackling as if it was being fed by kindling. The sound of wooden percussion echoed, and the chanting grew louder and louder. Soon, the crowd started buzzing with nervousness. Something's not right. People were massively disappointed by the amount of Sarira. The people were greatly disappointed by the amount of Sarira that appeared. There were no more than 2 spoonfuls. Shocked, the people soon turned into an angry crowd. It makes no sense that such a great monk had such little Sarira. Clearly he was lacking in his practice of asceticism. He must not have done very many good deeds. The visiting monk was himself baffled. He was unfamiliar with such an obsession with Sarira and cremation, and even he was expecting the proper amount of Sarira that a great monk would deserve. The monk spoke to a man behind him in the crowd. "How can they be upset at such a sacred ceremony?" At a slight distance away, a very old man in the crowd answered instead. "The poor and hungry yearn for miracles to save them. By how you're dressed, I would guess that you're also on the path of a Buddhist. This event must have worried you." The man responded in a slightly disturbed tone. "Sarira forms when a monk is bettered his body and spirit, and finally reaches nirvana. It is a natural process, not to be artificially wanted. How can you call it a miracle?" The old man then burst out in laughter. This monk is now known here for his good deeds. He shared his food with the hungry and clothes with those who were cold. However, as they say, it seems he was unable to reach true nirvana, as only 2 spoonfuls of Sarira were found. He ended up being a miserable old monk who couldn't achieve nirvana, even though he's a well-respected man, and better known as a benevolent living saint. Do you think you'll be any different? I have proudly practiced. They say a monk from the Temple of Redacted had earned more than 300 spoons of Sarira. Colorful lights spread across the sky as the crowd paid devout prayers at his cremation. His Sarira were around his pearls. The emperor himself ordered 4 temples to be built in his name. The monk could not reply. "But the creation of Sarira is a natural process I'll go through. It is well known that Buddha's Sarira were enough to fill a grand palace when he was cremated. One day your body shall fail and eventually lead you to the eternal heaven. Someday people shall be there for your cremation, just like now." The monk was silent. "If nothing is found as your ashes, you will be a sinner of a Trailokia, and your path will ultimately reach nowhere. However, if enough Sarira are found from you that everyone looks on you in your awe, your name will be sung for generations. The emperor will be awestruck and build a huge temple in your name, and the people will chant while admiring the pagoda of that temple." This feeble old man is telling you all this because I can see you becoming one of the greatest monks. Listen, a few hours here, there is a mound we call Redacted. Go up there, and you will see several old pagodas. Inside of them are the boxes of Sarira from long-forgotten great monks. Why, they'll just return to the soil if nothing happens to them. But if you were to consume them, perhaps you would display more Sarira than Buddha himself. The man then realized the old man was suspicious, and did not sound as an old man should. However, the old man was gone in a flash as he tried to catch a glimpse of his face. The monk concluded that this must have been a trick of the devil, and he tried to forget what the old man had said. but the old man's voice lingered in his ears, even as he tried to sleep. The monk tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep. He decided the best way to clear his mind was to go on a walk. As he walked, he somehow found himself around the pagodas the old man had mentioned. They were supposed to be a few hours' travel from where he had been staying. For a long while, only a chant of Om Ami Dewa Hri echoed around the pagodas. They say at night a mysterious sound can be heard around the pagodas and the statues in the area of Redacted. It is said that the source of this sound is a preda, a demonic creature with long arms, claws, and an unnaturally big mouth. Some say this creature carries a shattered japamala, however, the exact details are unconfirmed. After this creature appears, people find that the offered Sarira boxes are forcefully opened with their contents removed. Furthermore, monks who stay in the province must not sleep alone. They should also visit a nearby temple to receive a talisman that wards off evil spirits and ensure they carry it at all times. This tale has been widespread around the region and has led to the tradition of chanting certain lines at pagodas where Sarira is stored when cremation takes place. Yiseng Shehu, Yiseng Shehu, Shinru Vuviseng, Bolu Ru Vu Shile Wangsheng. And I'm very sorry to people who can speak that language. I can't tell which language because I am not educated. The chant translates into this: Are you a monk? Are you a monk? You are no longer a monk. A demon shall never reach heaven. This chant is orated to the monk who has not yet realized that he has become a demon. What a beautiful story.